Hey, this is Harry. Right now I'm working on my 2004 Ford Focus. It's a single overhead cam. I think they call it has the SPI engine in it. And right now I'm having some kind of engine vibration issues. Here, I'll turn it on. Maybe you can hear it on the camera here. It's a little loud, especially when you go down the highway. It's kind of hard almost to even have a conversation. You can hear almost everything vibrating in the car. From other YouTube videos I've heard, it's usually on the passenger side they have a motor mount that's hydraulic. Something, I guess something, the fluid gets a little gooey or whatever. I don't know what happens to it. So I'm going to replace that today. There's two other motor mounts. There's the transmission mount on the driver's side, and then there's some kind of a torsion strut that's towards the back of the engine on the bottom. I'm going to replace that as well. And while I'm at it, once I replace since I'm replacing the hydraulic motor mount, I'm just going to go ahead and do a timing belt while I'm at it. These according to the Ford service manual. That's one of the first steps you got to do. So, the car has, I think, right about let's see if you can maybe see it right over there. Yeah, had about a little over 100,000 miles, so it's about due. All right, well, let's get to it. All right, so what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start with the transmission mount, which is right here, and it sits under the air filter housing. Here's the housing. Here's the top half of it. What I did is I unhooked the connector to the mass airflow sensor. And I pulled it out, just checked the air filter while I'm at it. And then what I did next is the housing is there's no bolts or anything. They're just like little plastic clips, and you just grab under it and just pull. And it was a little hard, but with enough gusto you can get it open. One thing else to be careful too, there's also a little tube right here that hooks up on the front side, and there's like 4 little tabs. I tried to use a screwdriver and I accidentally broke one. It did help it come out, but the other 3 will hold it in. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. Alright, well, the first thing you gotta do is we gotta loosen up this bolt. It's a 21mm bolt, and then once that's loosened up, then we can work on the sides. This one's a little tough to get out. I could put my impact, but I want to kind of take it a little slow, so I'm going to use my good old trusty, if you can see it, my 21mm 3/4 inch drive. Sometimes it kind of helps to have something really nice and beefy. So we're going to give that a try. All right. Well, I got all the 5 bolts off, and at this point I'm just kind of pry it off as best I can. And there's the old transmission mount. Well, here's the new transmission mount. I picked this one up at rockauto.com. They're nice and affordable in terms of parts. I think this one was like somewhere between it was like $12, $11. What was good about this project and getting the stuff from them is all 3 mounts all happen to be coming from the same location, so I don't have to pay too much in shipping. One of the things I don't like about Rock Auto is everything's seems like to be drop shipped. So if you order 3 different things, it's coming from 3 different warehouses, and you're paying 3 times the shipping. So that's one of the things you got to kind of be careful with them. But if you're just ordering for one project at a time, or usually this stuff comes from the one place, so you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, it's like half the price, or maybe a third of the price than that a mechanic would charge you. So we're gonna go ahead and just put that one in. Well, according to my trusty service manual, we have to torque the bolts down to a specific amount. So for the main bolt, it says 98 foot-pounds, and then the ones on the outside is the 35. So we come back to looking here. So as I said, this one to 98 foot-pounds, then these on the outside to 35. And so here you can see we have the new transmission mount already put in. So what we're going to do is just do the reverse, put the air housing back in, and then we're going to go move on to the other mounts. Alright, next we're going to do is we're going to do the the right hand engine mount. And while we're at it, we're going to do the timing belt, because part of doing the timing belt with this has to come off anyway. And I said earlier that this engine's about due for a timing belt change. So in order to get to this, first we got to do is we got to take this off, which has I think it's a 10mm bolt here, and then we have to take the power steering fluid reservoir, and this is just like a compression fit. Back here, you just kind of pull up on it. So, and then after that, then we have to do stuff with it. Pull the tire off, and then get to the valve or the cover for the belts. Also, behind the engine coolant reservoir, you also have a little clip that's behind here, and you just have to pop this out, and then I think just a simple screwdriver is just good enough for this one. All right, I got the two reservoirs kind of moved off to the side, and here I popped the cover off. Here's this little cover that normally would just go around top of here. You can just pop it off with your hands. So I wanted to show you, like, right inside the motor mount, it uses a hydraulic fluid, and here you can tell I'm kind of just poking at it, and it looks just kind of nice and soft and jelly looking. In comparison to what a brand new one looks like. Here is a brand new one. If you press it down, it is somewhat soft, but if you just a little bit, maybe like 1/8 of an inch or so, you can feel it, there's like something hard inside. So this is what a brand new one looks like, and this is what a bad one kind of looks like, and it's kind of soft and jello looking. So this is pretty evident that this mount is pretty bad. Alright, I got the tire off, and then also got the accessory belt off as well. The next part to be able to get at the timing belt is I need to take off this dampener pulley. Alright, finally got the crankshaft pulley off. Here it is. Pretty much what I did is I just used one of my impacts. Pulley comes right off, and this is just pretty much it's pretty much a compression fit, except you might have it has like a little notch on here. You kind of see right there. And then for me, I had a little trouble just getting it off because for me it was stuck. So what I did, I just took a rubber mallet, just kind of lightly tapped it around. I also kind of gave it, do some penetrating oil, just spread around in here, loosen it, just enough to loosen up, and then just kind of worked it with my hand, just back and forth, until it finally popped off. All right, the next part we need to do is we need to take out this mortar mount. So what I'm doing is I'm just I'm gonna slowly just jack up the the engine, and then I'm gonna put up just put a block of wood just under the between the jack and the oil pan. And what I do is you jack it up little by little, and as you jack it up, you'll notice around here there's some rubber, and you'll notice the engine will start to move up, and you just keep jacking it up until this thing stops getting bigger, I guess, for lack of any better words. So the idea is you want to try to get as much strain off of it as you can. So because the thing is, you don't want to, when you undo it, you don't want the engine to drop even just a little. It'll make life a little bit easier. All right, so I got the motor mount out. The idea is there's the 5 bolts here that have to be removed, and you take out and it comes with the bracket. And then when you look on the other bracket, then then you just pull this bolt, pull that out. And as you can tell, here, see that separation here? That's also probably not a good thing. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to take off the timing belt cover, and then we're going to take off the mounting bracket. So the engine cover has 3 bolts. There's one. There we go. You got one right there, and then you have 2 more. So there's one here, right there, one there, and then the other one is hidden right here by the tensioner. It's right. Alright, see those 2 bolts right there? You got those are the 2 you need to remove. You got the 4 here. Which amounts to that one right there. One right. You can't really see it too well. So one right there, and the other one right there. All right, now that we got the covers and the mounting bracket off, next thing we need to do is align everything to top dead center. So we got alignment marks, on the pulleys and on the engine block. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so we got the mark here, and I think there's a hole right there. And then below, let me get everything out of the way here. You have a notch in this bracket here. See, and there's a little arrow right there. So we just have to get all that aligned. Alright, so I got everything lined up. So what I did to do that is I put the bolt back, and then when I got it, I just use a ratchet just to get it close. If you do it by hand, sometimes depending on which cylinders and which strokes, sometimes it's a little tough, and all of a sudden it gets real easy and it spins and you get it past your mark. So by hand I just get it close, and then what I did is I just end up putting a breaker bar right here, and then while you're doing that you can kind of look up and you can kind of eyeball it here while doing that. And then with the breaker bar, what I end up doing is I just grabbed a rubber mallet and I just tapped really lightly. So I can, what the idea is, it would bump this along just perfect. So I can just because otherwise if I just did it by hand and I just kind of put some force, what would happen is the mark would be over here and then just be a little bit too far. Now the thing is, you don't want to rotate the engine in the opposite direction. And normally this engine goes clockwise. So if you go past, you have to go back all the way around again. And after a couple times, I'm like, okay, no, this is kind of stupid. So that's why I just went up using the breaker bar and I just lightly tapped it until I finally got to where I needed to go. All right, the next step we got to do is we need to take an 8mm Allen key. We're going to put it in here. Then what you do is you then turn counterclockwise a quarter turn, and then there's a hole here that what we do is we're going to take a 1/8 inch drill bit. So once we turn this, then we can put the drill bit in here to lock this tensioner in place. Alright, I recommend using like an 8mm ratchet attachment. So right here I'm just using a 3/8 drive, and what I do is as I was twisting here, I put the drill bit in the hole, and then I just kind of press in as I'm sliding, and then right when I get to the right position, it'll just pop right in. Awesome. So now I have no tension on, well, at least little. So then I don't have any tension on the belt, so then I can just pull it off. All right, I just recently just pulled off the timing belt, and I just worked on the new one. I haven't applied the tension yet. To take them off, what I just did is I just grabbed my hand and just kind of worked it out, just by pulling out. You don't want to do any twisting motions because you don't want to get your alignment off. So I just kind of worked it, just using my nails and fingers just to just try to pry outwards on the belt. And then when putting on the new one, what I did is first I fished the belt under the crankshaft pulley, and what you want to do is you want to work the belt counterclockwise, and the idea is you want to keep this section here as taut as possible, because the idea is when the engine's going and this is moving clockwise, you want to keep these two in timing, because you don't want to, if you have any slack, you might miss a tooth and keep things off. So the idea is you work counterclockwise. So you start with the crankshaft pulley, then you move up to the camshaft, then around the tensioner and around the water pump, and back down. Then once it's even without the tensioner, I mean you'll stay. So it's the most important part. Once you get this part set, then you just go back and this with your Allen key, maybe take a little bit of tension off the drill bit, pull it out, and at that point you should be done with this part. Alright, well, I just reattached the timing belt cover. The book says you got torque the 3 bolts that hold them together to about 10 Newton meters. Actually, that kind of works out to about, I think it's like a 88.5, maybe a little less, but about 88 inch-pounds. Now that I have that, before I put on the engine mount bracket, it's probably a good time to actually put the accessory belt back on, since there's nothing really in the way of my tensioner, so I can get at that pretty easily. Yeah, but before you put on the accessory belt, if you try to put it on, you kind of realize, I don't have a pulley to put this thing around. So you have to put back the crankshaft pulley back on first. What I am doing is, the book says you have to tighten this to about 120 Newton meters. I think it's like works out to about 88 foot-pounds. Probably the easiest way to get this thing back on is to use your impact with a torque stick. There I have a variety of different torque sticks, and based on the width and the length, and what happens is each of them have a specific torque rating, and what the idea is, once you hit that torque rating, that specific torque, these things are designed to twist. So when they twist, the thing is it won't over torque whatever the fastener or the bolt that you're trying to put back on. So like here I have one for 55 foot-pounds, I got 80, and it works all the way up to like 175. So if you're trying to torque something to let's say 80 foot-pounds, you just put one of these on, and then you don't have to worry about too much having to way over tightening it. So for this, I had a choice between 80 foot-pounds, like 110 Newton meters or 135. You can probably go either way. I kind of went on the safe side, just in case if my impact gun not as powerful. So what I end up doing is I went up with the 135 Newton meters and used that to tighten it. When using the impact gun, I noticed the pulley doesn't move at all. Otherwise, if you did it by hand, then you start spinning the engine, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. So this will make life a lot easier for you. Well, I just realized I just made one little minor mistake. I guess it makes sense to put the motor mount bracket on before you put the engine, the timing belt cover, because otherwise, if you try to get it on, it doesn't quite line up. So I'm going to have to take the cover off, or at least loosen it up a little bit, and then fit this thing on, and then tighten the cover back on. Alright, I think I got everything fixed now. In order to get this bracket back on, I had to, open up some room with the timing bolt or the timing belt cover. So I ended up doing is loosening up this bolt here and then loosening up this bolt, just enough to get the cover to come off. Now, one of the things I just realized doing this is in order to get to this bolt, I had to move the tensioner out of the way, and by doing that, I had to take the belt off. So I just got enough, just the belt, just enough off of this pulley, so that when I release tension off, from the wrench from the hole here, the pulley has enough room to move out of the way, and then I can get to that bolt. Now, I ended up doing is, I think the book tells us that we need to tighten these up to 48 Newton meters, which when you convert it, ends up being about like 88.5 foot-pounds. So I got those all tightened up. One of the things I did leave out from earlier is when I started to turn the engine over in order to line up the marks. Well, you'll notice you start to feel some pressure when you start getting into the compression stroke. So what you need to do is what I forgot to show you was you have to pull out all your spark plugs, and obviously I got the mount secured to the bracket. On the underside there's a bolt that's there. And you can just use an impact and just hold this on with your hand, and it has like a little nub that fits into a hole, so it's keyed, so it won't slide on you too much. So when putting it back in, so far I took two of the bolts and I just kind of hand tighten them. And once you get them aligned up here, but sometimes the holes may not down here, you may not see, may not line up very well. So what I ended up doing is I just took a little pry bar and I kind of fit it in between the two here, and you don't need a whole lot of force. I mean, you can see I can just pull back. This was just like 2 fingers, and if you look, sometimes you kind of see sometimes it shifts just enough, or so if your holes on the bottom aren't aligning, just use the pry bar just a little bit just to get it to move, and then you get your bolts in there and then tighten them down, tighten them down by hand. Alright, well, this part's done. So now we're going to work on the last mount, which is towards the back and on the bottom. Alright, now we're under the car. According to the manual, all we need to do is remove this bolt and that bolt, and then this should come out. Now, I've seen on some other YouTube videos, some other guys have taken this other bracket, so they remove this bolt, then this one, that one, and then just pull this out as an assembly, and then while it's out, then removed it, replaced it, and put it back in the car. But we'll see what happens. We're gonna try just taking this one and this one out and see how hard it is to take that one out. Already, I got my floor jack with the piece of wood, with the block of wood. Put some pressure to get some pressure off of this. Maybe see if we can get this a little easier. All right, well, we'll see what happens. All right, well, I got the old one out. I was able just to easily just kind of pry it out, and not too much effort. Just got to be careful. It's like if it's sitting in the car, there's like this. There is some kind of a plastic hose of some sort, like a real I don't know. It's maybe like it's real small, but it runs right behind here. So if you go to pry it out, you got to be careful not to pinch that little hose that's back there. Now, I was trying to take the new one and put it into the bracket while it was still there, and it was such a tight fit. So here, I was able to get this thing in, but like it almost felt like when I was trying to put this in, it's like a little bushing on the inside, like this little metal piece here. It almost felt like this was like too big for the opening, and I thought maybe I just got a defective part. But then when I tried the old one, see, then I just had just as much of a hard time. So I had to pull this bracket out. So I ended up taking this and tried all different things. Nothing worked. So what I ended up doing was I just took this, like in this
way the bracket is in this orientation, kind of rode it up this front part, kind of right up to here, and then I took a hammer and just banged on it until finally got it to go in. Actually, what I ended up using, I used a rubber mallet. I didn't use just a regular hammer because I'm kind of afraid to damage it. But for me, a rubber mallet worked. I was looking at some other video of some guy doing the same job, and like with him, it's like all of a sudden he's like, boop, just in, no effort. I'm like what the hell? So yeah, so what I ended up doing, this rubber mallet, hit it in, worked fine. In case you forget, at least far as I remembered, is you'll come with two different bolts, like a longer one and a smaller one. The longer one is the one that I put going along this way, because with like this one, if I use the smaller one, it ended up, and it's kind of hard to tell at this perspective, but when it would go all the way through on this side, there was still, it wouldn't come out through the hole. It would be a couple threads showing through the bracket. So this longer bolt would go all the way through, and then this other shorter one, would be the one going through here. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this thing back in. Well, I got it all put back in. Let's see. That bolt and this bolt needs to be torqued down to 35 foot-pounds. As for these three bolts, I had no idea what they were. I looked online everywhere. I looked in the service manual. It didn't say anywhere what those need to be torqued to. So I just torqued them till I felt like they were tight. If anybody knows what they are, just maybe leave something in the comments and let me know what they're supposed to be, because I would like to know, because I looked and I couldn't find it. With the timing belt done and the motor mounts all replaced, let's see how this thing sounds like. Alright, let's get this thing. Alright, there we go. Yep, it sounds a lot quieter than before. Part of this, I drove around, sounds like a brand new car. Well, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and thanks for watching.